Jing Li ran faster, knowing that his escape depended on getting to the safe house before they caught up with him. Jing Li burst into the safe house, panting heavily, his heart racing from the chase. He slammed the door behind him, locking it with trembling hands. For a moment, everything was silent. He stood there in the dim light, trying to calm his nerves. The system's voice came in low and steady. You have escaped, but they are still out there. They will not give you P. Jing Li leaned against the wall, trying to gather his thoughts. The safe house was small but secure. It had been a hidden spot, used by many in the past who needed to hide from their enemies. But that didn't make him feel safe. The tension still hung in the air, thick and suffocating. He knew the scroll he carried was powerful, too powerful. It had already attracted dangerous people, and now they were closing in. I can't keep running forever, Jing Li thought. I need to figure out how to fight back. The system sensed his frustration and responded, you are not alone. There are others who seek the scroll as well, but they may also help you. Jing Li thought about the words, wondering who could possibly be an ally in this dangerous situation. There were so many forces at play, and he couldn't trust anyone easily. But before he could think more on it, there was a sudden knock on the door. He froze. His first instinct was to hide, but then the voice outside spoke calm and clear. Jing Li, we know you're in there. Come out. We're not your enemies. We need to talk. Jing Li hesitated. Who were these people? Were they truly allies, or was it another trap? He felt the weight of the scroll in his bag, a constant reminder of the danger he faced. Slowly he walked toward the door, preparing himself for whatever was to come next. When he opened it, he was met by two figures, a man and a woman. They didn't look like ordinary mercenaries. They were well-dressed, with calm expressions, and they carried no weapons. The man spoke first. We're here to help you. But we need the scroll. It's part of something much bigger than you can imagine. Jing Li didn't respond immediately. He studied them carefully. Were they lying? Or was this his chance to finally gain some understanding of what was going on? The woman spoke next, her voice soft but urgent. We have been watching you. You're in too deep now. Let us help you unlock its full power before they find you again. Jing Li thought about the situation. He didn't have many options left. If I refuse, I'll only have more enemies, he reasoned. But if I trust them, I could get some answers. With a deep breath, he nodded. All right. But if you betray me, he trailed off, not needing to finish the sentence. The man smiled slightly. We won't. We just want to help. And so Jing Li stepped forward, ready to discover the truth behind the scroll and the people who had been hunting him. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a while, he felt a glimmer of hope. Jing Li stood in the doorway, still unsure whether he had made the right decision by letting the man and woman in. They seemed calm and confident, but that didn't mean they weren't hiding something. He had learned the hard way not to trust anyone easily, especially when it came to the scroll. The man, seeing Jing Li's hesitation, spoke first. We know you're scared, but you don't have to fight this alone. The scroll you have, it's not just any artifact. It holds the key to unlocking an ancient power, something that has been hidden for centuries. Jing Li's heart skipped a beat. He had known that the scroll was important, but he didn't realize just how significant it really was. What kind of power? He asked cautiously. The woman stepped forward, her expression serious. It's not something you can control alone. There are those who want the scroll for themselves and they'll stop at nothing to get it. But there are also people who want to protect it. We're part of that group. Jing Li looked at them both, trying to figure out if they were telling the truth. His instincts told him to be careful, but he was running out of options. So, what now? What do you want from me? The man smiled slightly, as if he had been expecting this question. We want to help you unlock the full potential of the scroll. But to do that, we need to get to a hidden location where the next step can be completed. If we wait too long, the enemies will catch up with us, and it'll be too late. Jing Li didn't say anything for a moment. The weight of the decision hung over him. Trusting these people could be the right move, but it also carried a huge risk. Still, the thought of facing his enemies alone was terrifying. He nodded slowly. All right, I'll go with you, but I'm not handing over the scroll just yet. The woman nodded, acknowledging his concern. You don't have to. We just need to get to the right place, and then we can figure out what to do next. With that, the three of them set out, leaving the warehouse behind and venturing into the night. Jing Li couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into even more danger, But he also knew that if he didn't act now, he might never get another chance to find the truth. As Jing Li and the two strangers made their way through the dark streets, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every shadow seemed to hide a potential enemy, and every creak of the old buildings made his heart race. But despite the unease, they kept moving forward with purpose, the woman leading the way. The man, who introduced himself as Li Cheng, spoke quietly as they walked. "We're getting close to the location. It's a safe house that has been used for centuries by our group. It's well protected. You'll be safe there for now. Jing Li nodded, though he wasn't completely convinced. He had no idea who these people really were, and every step they took felt like they were walking deeper into unknown danger. But he had no other choice. His enemies were still out there, and they were closing in. The woman, whose name was Lu Mei, turned to him with a serious expression. "I know you're worried, but trust us. We're your best chance at figuring out what the scroll really means. The power it holds could change everything, but only if you learn how to use it. Jing Li didn't reply immediately. He had been trying to understand the scroll's significance since he first found it, but it was all too much. He had no idea what kind of power it held or what he was supposed to do with it. All he knew was that it was important, and that he couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands. As they neared the entrance to the safe house, Li Cheng turned to Jing Li and said, "Once we're inside, we'll start the process. You'll finally get the answers you've been searching for. The door to the safe house creaked open, and Jing Li stepped inside, his heart heavy with both hope and fear. He knew the answers he sought were inside, but he wasn't sure if he was ready for what they would reveal. Inside, the atmosphere was different from the cold, dark streets. There were no guards, no hidden traps, just an eerie quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of an old generator. Lu Mei led him down a narrow hallway and into a small room with a stone table in the center. On the table was a glowing stone, its light pulsing slowly, almost like a heartbeat. Li Cheng gestured to the stone. "This is the next step. We need you to place the scroll here. It will activate the stone and reveal what comes next. Jing Li hesitated for a moment before slowly walking toward the table. He placed the scroll down carefully, unsure of what would happen next. As soon as the scroll touched the stone, a bright light erupted from the table, and for a moment, Jing Li couldn't see anything. It felt as if time had stopped. Then the light faded, and he was left standing in the dimly lit room, his heart pounding. The stone now lay still, but something had changed. He could feel it. The air in the room seemed thicker, charged with energy. The scroll had activated something, but what? Li Cheng looked at Jing Li with a mixture of excitement and caution. "It's begun. But this is just the beginning. You'll need to learn how to control the power that's now inside you. Jing Li didn't know what to think. Control the power, he wasn't sure he even understood it. But one thing was clear, his life had just changed forever. Jing Li sat in the dimly lit room, still trying to process what had just happened. The stone on the table was now silent, its light faded, but he could still feel a strange energy surrounding him. He glanced at Li Cheng and Lu Mei, who were both watching him carefully. Li Cheng's voice broke the silence. "The scroll has connected with the stone. It started something, but we don't fully understand it yet. He stepped closer, his expression serious. "What we do know is that the power you're holding now is ancient and dangerous. You must learn to control it before it overwhelms you. Jing Li felt a mix of fear and excitement. Control it? How was he supposed to control something he didn't even understand? The more he thought about it, the more overwhelming it seemed. But he didn't have a choice. He had come too far to back out now. Lu Mei spoke up, her voice calm but firm. "We have been searching for someone with the right qualities to handle this power. You're the one, Jing Li. The scroll chose you for a reason." She paused, looking at him with a knowing expression. "But it's not going to be easy. You'll have to go through intense training to understand how to wield it. Jing Li nodded slowly, absorbing her words. He had no idea what kind of training they were talking about, but it was clear that this was no ordinary mission. It was a test of survival, and only by mastering the power could he hope to control his destiny. Li Cheng then moved to the side of the room and pulled out a small old book. "This is the key to understanding the scroll. It contains knowledge passed down from generations of those who guarded its secrets. You'll need this to train and unlock the full potential of your power." Jing Li reached out and took the book, its pages yellowed with age. He opened it carefully, scanning the strange symbols and diagrams. Some of it was familiar, but much of it was beyond him. The system suddenly spoke in his mind. You're not alone in this. I will assist you in deciphering this text and guide you through the process. With the help of the system, Jing Lai began to study the book, the pages slowly making sense as he read. It wasn't long before he realized that the power of the scroll wasn't just about strength or control, it was about balance. The energy within the scroll was tied to both creation and destruction, and only by understanding this balance could he learn to use it properly. As Jing Li continued to read, Li Cheng and Lu Mai stepped back, allowing him space to absorb the information. But even as he learned, the feeling of danger still loomed over him. He could sense that the enemies hunting him were getting closer. Time was running out, and soon he would have to face them armed with the knowledge from the scroll. Lu Mei looked out the window, her expression distant. We have to be ready. The enemies won't stop until they have the scroll, and if they get their hands on it, they'll use its power for their own twisted purposes. Jing Lai closed the book and stood up, his mind made up. Then let's prepare. I'm ready to